Alright, what's up, Dragon Brood? I'm sure by the title and everything, and you seeing this chart here, means we're going to rank some things. And since it's Tarkir Dragonstorm, I am going to try to rank all 27 dragons in the set. Well, technically there's a 28th card that's not really a dragon, but we'll talk about it when we get there. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of an undertaking. I had to do some shenanigans to get it all filled up. There are a bunch of dragons, so right below me, I will have some popping up in a second. We will search them up so y'all have an image of what I'm talking about, because a lot of these dragons are new and you may not know what they are yet. But let's hop right in here because we're going to have a lot to talk about. I'm going to try not to spend too much time on some of them that don't need it so that the video isn't forever long. We have Riling Dawnbringer. This is a 5 mana 3/4 flying vigilance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. And it has an omen of colorless and a white to create a 2/2 white soldier creature token. It is a sorcery. This one actually isn't bad. I mean, it makes you a creature, which is fine for 2 mana. It also gives you something cheap to go along with your dragons. It has flying and vigilance, which is pretty nice. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, another creature you control gets +1. So you can't give it itself a +1, which is a shame because it does have flying. For 5 mana, that's not great. It is a common, though. It's okay. I'm not going to give it high marks, but we're also probably not going to be playing with this one very much. So I'm going to put it in D tier. D feels kind of terrible. I'm going to put it in C tier for now. I might move it down later, but it does at least make a 2/2, and that could matter to token decks, so who knows. Next up is Runescale Stormbrood. It's a 4 mana 2/4 dragon with flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell or a dragon spell, this creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. It actually has an instant omen of Chilling Screech, 1 and a blue, counter target spell with mana value 2 or less. Believe it or not, I actually kind of like this one. I feel like there are a fair amount of decks where having something that just counters something for 2 is actually not terrible, and especially if we're in an environment where you're necessarily wanting to play dragons, but you need stuff to deal with those early, like, mice, rabbits, whatever, right? Like, countering something for 2 is pretty big to buy you the time you need. So while this isn't exciting, I'm gonna give it. If I gave the other one a C, I have to give this a B. Maybe they both need to move down later on, but this is at least playable, which is all right. I'm not huge on its ability of, like, when you play a dragon or whatever, it gets a bonus. Like, that's okay, but realistically, this is actually pretty cool. And I guess there is a world where it could go into some Jeskai prowess type decks. All right, next up, Feral Deathgorger. 6 mana 3/5 dragon with flying and death touch. When this creature enters, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Its omen is a black and 1, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature, draw a card. Obviously at sorcery speed, not the greatest thing, but not the worst thing. I will say this for the card. There are a fair amount of Abzan things that care about +1/+1 counters and that sort of deal. If you want that, it's not bad. And it does let you draw a card along with that +1/+1 counter. So it's like 2 mana, draw a card, get a counter is actually not bad value. And the other side, while expensive, you know, it is a 3/5 and it flies and it does remove stuff from graveyards. It has uses, but I think it's kind of on tier with the first one that we talked about. While I do think the ability on both of these for 2 mana are great, I don't think they deserve to be much higher than that. So maybe C tier is actually reasonable because there are worlds where each of those omens might be interesting. I realize some of these dragons, like Ureni, that we're about to talk about, have a lot of text, so I sized up the dragons for you. Hope that helps. Okay, Ureni, the Song Unending, is 8 mana, 5 green, blue, red for a 10/10 spirit dragon flying, protection from white and black. When Ureni enters, it deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers equal to the number of lands you control. This card's good. I don't think there's any question here. Now, people say, it's 8 mana. Well, let's be real. There's so many ways right now that we're going to be able to get mana for dragons, right? We have the Herd Heirloom, we have Llanowar Elves, we have a new 3/1 that taps for mana, we have Sarkhan, we have Temur Battlecrier, we have, you know, like so many things that can make this cost less, right? Without even having to try that hard. But you might also just reanimate this thing, right? You get it back into play for 4 or 5 mana, you still get to deal 4 to 5 damage split up however you want between some other creatures, and you're still a 10/10. 2 attacks kills your opponent. All the good spot removal is either white or black these days. Now, don't get me wrong, there's still sacrifice effects and things, so it's not like completely unbeatable, but it is damn good. Not an automatic include, however, because there are a lot of different dragons that you probably want to play. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and put this in A tier. I think it's a very good card. If you see it across the table, you're not going to be happy about it. I think that's more than fair. I realized this chart I went to had all the dragon stuff in it, and it has a dragonback assault. So we have more than what I thought, but that's okay. We're going to talk about it because it's here. So dragonback assault is 6 for an enchantment, and when it enters, you deal 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Landfall, whenever you play a land, you get a 4/4 red flying dragon. This card also very good. I don't think there's a reason to knock this card. I think it's very tough. Again, there's a lot of ways to make this cheaper. Even without small creatures, there's a bunch of other artifacts we could play. Playing this on, say, even turn 4 is pretty powerful. And you get to just make 4/4s. The other thing, too, here to think about is the fact that one of the Dragonstorm cards, the green one, I think it's Emerging Dragonstorm, actually let you just go get 2 basics. So you could literally on turn 4 go get 2 lands, turn 5 play this, right? Because you already have 6 mana. Then you play a land, getting a 4/4, and you return the Dragonstorm to your hand so you can make 2 4/4s again next turn, right? So there's some very easy play patterns here that make this card playable. So I am going to put this also, I believe in this card. I'm putting it in A tier. So yeah, I don't know, we're going to have maybe, if I were guessing, 2 or 3 things total in S tier. So I don't expect a lot to be there. If we're talking about all the dragons, we have to talk about the Dragonland, right? Maelstrom of the Spirit Dragon. So this taps for a colorless, which is good. It doesn't even interplay tapped or anything crazy. You can tap for a mana of any color, but it has to be spent on casting a dragon or an omen, so that does matter. But again, still tap it for colorless. The cool part about this, though, is you could pay 4 and tap it to sacrifice this land and search for a dragon, reveal it, put it in your hand. So any dragon you need to get later in the game has a cool ability you want. Maybe you want the double striking dragon. Maybe you want your any because you've already maxed out your mana and you can just pay the 8, right? Maybe you need a, I don't know, Terror of the Peaks because you're about to go use Fabled Passage and get 2 dragons into play, right? There's a bunch of things you could do with this. And yeah, I think this is a very good card, but obviously only in regards to dragons. I don't think it has any much use. I'm going to put it in B tier. I think it's a very quality card. I think you play it if you're playing a heavy dose of dragons, if for no other reason, just for the tutor part of it. All right, if the land gets included, Mox Jasper gets included. And I don't know. I feel some kind of way about this card. I think right now it's overpriced. You're having a hard time finding this card for under like $50 in a lot of places, which seems like a lot. Here's the thing. Even playing dragons, I don't know if you want a full set of these. You know, they are legendary to begin with. But you're actually not going to get to use this early, right? Like, even in the world where if you wanted to play the changelings, all right, so you could play a changeling. Your hand could be like land, changeling, play your Mox Jasper. I guess you have mana up to like Burst Lightning something or whatever. And now you have 4 mana on turn 3. And like, that's fine. But are you any better off with the Mox Jasper versus that just being like Herd Heirloom or something on turn 2? You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of weird. I like it better in the sense of if you just need a 0 cost thing, like you're trying to trigger Storm, or maybe you're trying to use it with the Radiant Lotus or something like that. But I'm actually not huge. I think for older formats, Mox Jasper has more value for combo potential, mana reduction, stuff like that. But I'm gonna, man, I'm very tempted to. I'm gonna put this on C tier for now, just because of how I believe it can be used in older formats. But I'm tempted to put it in D tier. And I know people are gonna blow me up in the comments for that. Maybe I don't see it. I would love to come around to this card. Maybe I'm wrong. But for now, that's where I'm putting it. Next up is Clarion Conqueror. It's 3 mana, 3/3 flying. Activated abilities of artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers can't be activated. I kind of like this. I don't think it goes into a ton of decks, but I think if you're playing best of 3, obviously, this has some real value for you. I think having this in the sideboard could be really strong. Now, the other side of this is it could find a way into some very quirky decks that are aggressive without a lot of activated abilities. For example, let's say you were playing Boros tokens or some such, right? Whatever variety. You're playing Arabella, you're playing Anam Pakal, whatever. Those are all triggered abilities, right? Those decks don't have anything you necessarily have to activate or anything. So it could be a very good, just solid, cheap flyer. Now, it's only 3/3. It can be dealt with by damn near everything in the format, except for maybe cut down. But that's okay. I think it still does its job. It doesn't interfere with the decks that are trying to play it. It's an efficient creature. I'm kind of digging this. I think this could find a home somewhere for sure in sideboards, but I would not be surprised if it shows up main deck anywhere. I'm giving this a solid B. All right, this one, this is where it gets tough. This is where I think we go on diverging paths depending on how you view this card. But Tevel, Arbiter of Virtue, it is a 5 mana, 2 black, green, blue. I was like, almost why I couldn't remember the last color there. But it's a 6/6 for 5, which actually is good on its own, right? Flying, lifelink. Spells you cast have Delve, basically meaning you can exile cards from your graveyard to make stuff cheaper. However, when you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. I will say this for the card, that honestly, it's a pretty solid, just real solid body, even if you never delved a thing, right? It's a 6/6 flyer with lifelink for 5 mana. That's good. And it also has whenever you cast spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. That's going to happen regardless. Big spell, small spell, whatever, whether you use delve or not. So you do need to be attacking to connect with this or playing some other like drain life effects or other life linkers or whatever. But if you are built to sustain that, you could pair this with a lot of different things, right? You could use delve with harmonize or whatever. Like, I don't know. There's a bunch of like weird things you could do to make spells cheaper or not and maybe still get stuff to work. There's somebody will find something to do with this. I'm going to make this a real solid A. And honestly, I only cuz I don't know 100% 100% what I want to do with it. It could eventually end up in S tier. Like, this is low key the dragon that people probably aren't talking about that much of the new spirit dragons that could actually pop off. Purging Stormbrood, 5 for a 4/4 flying, has Ward of Pay 2 life. When this creature enters, remove all counters from up to one target creature. Has Absorb Essence, which is an instant omen. 1 and a white, target creature gets +2/+2, gains lifelink and hexproof until end of turn. This is this is a tough one for me because the dragon itself is okay, right? 5 mana, 4/4 flyer. You have to lose 2 life if you want to target it. And it could remove counters from a creature, which seem like that's going to be a real thing between the renewability, putting counters on stuff, +1/+1s being a theme in this set, right? There will be some real opportunities for that. But there's going to be a lot of games as well when you're up just against like mono green or against, I guess even Boros mice occasionally have like +1/+1 counters on like a Heartfire or something, right? So like maybe that still works there, but it is pretty slow for that matchup. But the Omen side of giving something +2/+2 lifelink and hexproof, that's pretty big. You know, if there's a deck that wants to have some ways to protect their creatures, that happens to be white black, or needs some pump effects for some, or you're just playing a lifelink deck, right? You need a way to gain some life to trigger some things. This is another one. I think the Omen carries the dragon, which is kind of crazy to say, but I don't know if it carries it enough to be playable. So I'm going to put it in C tier, mostly because I think the not terrible, not great is a perfect fit here because it's sometimes going to be just the right card you want, but a lot of times you're probably going to find something better. Stormscale Scion. This is a 6 mana 4/4 flying. Other dragons you control get +1/+1, and it has Storm. And Storm, for those you know, is when you cast a spell, copy it for each other spell that's played before it this turn. The copies become tokens. This is one of those things where I have to question how often are we going to get, first off, even more than one dragon, but how many scenarios exist where you will get 2 or 3 additional dragons? I don't know if there's that many right now. Like, again, when this is a card, when I brought it up many times in the preseason here, when I asked, Okay, but what does the rest of the deck look like, right? Are we dedicating to doing something that reduces the cost, then we get to this on turn 6 and we cast like 2 things and get 2/5/5s effectively because they pump each other? Like, that's not terrible. I don't hate it. But at 6 mana, is this what we really want to be doing with our dragons? And only getting a 4/4, right? Like, could we be casting some of the other things or setting up for a Lathalis or something? Like some other crazy dragons. So, I don't know. And honestly, this thing's pre-ordering for a lot in a lot of places. So, I'm definitely one of the few that's not a believer on this one. And I think it could work if you were to play, say, like Llanowar Elf, or this might be the case where you want to play a Mox Jasper first, and then cast your Scion because it does make it cheaper, and you get 2 Scions, so that's something. Um, but yeah, this is probably gonna make me a hater, but I think for most things now, Commander a whole different ball game. If you're just playing dragons, then yeah, go ahead and play it because it pumps all your dragons. But in Standard, which is mostly what we focus on the channel, I can't say you want to play this card. Please, if there's anything a dragon I want to be wrong about, that's definitely one of them. All right, we have Bator, another one of the spirit dragons, kin to all, 5 mana, so 2 white, black, green for a 5/7 spirit dragon with flying. At the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have total toughness of 10, you draw a card. If total is 20 or greater, you get to untap each creature you control. And then if there are 40, your opponent loses half their life. Each opponent, I should say. This is interesting because your discussion comes down to 5/4, 5/7 flying dragon, reasonable. Nothing crazy, but reasonable. You get to draw a card pretty much every turn because this is 7 toughness on its own. Pretty sure your deck can finagle to get to 10 if you're playing creatures, right? Play a bunch of 2/3s and 3/4, stuff like that. That seems more than fine. How often are we going to get to 20 to get to untap our stuff after we attack? Probably not too often with all the removal that's being played and stuff and sweepers. You're almost never going to get to 40. You know what I mean? Like that's just not going to happen. Like if you're 40 and your opponent steals half their life and you have multiple dragons, they're probably just dead. You know what I mean? It almost doesn't matter. But the card every turn is nice. I do think this is fun for Commander. I do think the big butts matter decks are a thing. We've seen that before. But I can't put Bator very high, I don't think. For me personally, I think Bator is cool. I think useful. But I don't think as good as some of the other spirit dragons. All right, we have Durgar Island Dragon. 6 mana, 4/4, flying, ward 2. It also has an instant omen of 1 and a blue. Tap up to 1 target creature, draw a card. I assume we're never playing this. Like, we have other things that can tap stuff down, tap 2 things down, put stun counters on things. Like, stuff that just do what this omen does better, even for 2 mana. Though it does let you draw a card, which is nice. But we're almost never wanting to cast the second side, unless it's just, like, way late in the game and it's just your finisher, right? 6 mana, 4/4 flyer, ward 2. It's fine. I will say, if you're playing some deck where you just need to buy time and you're playing a bunch of spells, like, okay, it's not really a bounce spell, but it does draw you another card. Some weird prowess shenanigans might want this. I don't know. But I'm assuming we're going to find better cards most of the time. So this is one I think I'm also going to put into D tier. It's close to me for F tier. I don't know if we're going to have too many Fs. I think there's only going to be 1 or 2. But yeah, I think this is a D tier card. You're probably not looking to play it very often. All right, so Narev, Heart of the Storm, 1 red, white, black, 4/5, flying. If a creature you control entered the battlefield this turn, it would deal damage. It deals twice that much damage instead. This is easily the first S tier for me among the dragons that we talked about today. For several reasons. One, we have a really cheap cost, right? It's 4 mana for a 4/5. So you get even a bigger toughness than you normally get for 4 cost on a dragon. Can fit a bunch of different decks, right? It can fit just the regular Mardu token strategies. It can work with haste creatures. I mean, there's like multiple things you can figure out what to do with this, right? Or anything that just like taps and does stuff or whatever. Like there's tons of things. The other thing is it's just very easy, efficient to use. Like you don't have to try to figure it out. Like it's easy to build around. It's checking a lot of boxes. You can build around it and do some pretty strong things. Boulderborn Dragon. 5. Just 5 generic mana for a 3/3 dragon. Flying, vigilance. When this creature attacks, surveil 1. If you play this in 60 card Magic, you're losing your games of Magic. Like, this thing's just not playable. It's a 5 mana 3/3 already, so that's below rate for every dragon we've talked about so far. It does have vigilance, which is nice, but like just getting to surveil 1, we have so many better things that let you surveil. We've got lands, we have a black green artifact we got last set that just does it automatically. Like, we just can't. This easily the first F tier. Do not play this card at all. Magmatic Hellkite. 2 red red. So 4 mana for a 4/5. Another one where you get a 4/5 for 4. Flying, when it enters, destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. Its controller searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield, tapped with a stun counter on it, then shuffles. This, for me, we're going to have a bit of a difference here, but I think this is a very good dragon. It's a 4 mana, because the other thing too is if you're just straight up playing dragons with any type of early ramp spells or whatever, one of the things those decks have needed is more quality 4 mana dragons to go from 2 mana to 4 mana. We haven't really had that, right? We have like 1 right now in standard that's actually reasonable. This at least gives you 2. And not only that, it can slow your opponent down so they can't immediately Day of Judgment, Sunfall, whatever the next turn. So you at least get 1 solid turn to attack with it and whatever else you have on the battlefield at the very least. With the way decks are going to be set up, you might be able to cut off a color potentially from them, right? A lot of decks are going to be trying to go hard on 3 and 4 colors. They may not even have that many basics. It might be just a land kill card in some spots. So yeah, for me, I'm putting it in S tier. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not as great as I think it is. But for me, the 2 most efficient dragons, the 2 4 mana 4/5s, ended up in the S tier so far. Bloomvine Regents. 3 green green for a 4/5 flying. Whenever this creature or another dragon you control enters, you gain 3 life. It has claim territory. For a green and 2, you get an omen at sorcery speed that says search your library for up to 2 basic forests. Reveal them, put 1 on the battlefield. Tapped, put 1 into your hand. So basically that's what? Cultivate, I think, was the card we've had before this that does the same thing. Here's the thing. Cultivate was just a playable good Magic card. Still is. We're probably playing this, y'all. Like, this card's actually low-key kind of good. And remember how we talked about that Dragonback Assault? This is another way you could ramp up to lead up to that, to make sure you get all your mana, get your basics, right? Like, this also could let you get 2 dragons in a turn with Dragonback Assault, because 1 goes right into play. If you haven't played your land for the turn, now you play the other one, you got 2 dragons. And the card itself is actually reasonable as a dragon. It's 4/5, gain 3 life, it flies. Any other ones you play after that, you gain life. And guess what? If you're getting free dragons, it's whenever... Oh, no, it says whenever you... Oh, no, it says when it enters, not when you cast. So, yeah, when those other free dragons enter, you'll gain life, too. So, yeah, I'm into this card. I think it's solid. It's also a good catch-up card, right? When you're talking about, no condiments. But when we're talking about maybe slowing down things against the super aggro decks, you get to ramp a little bit, and boom, get to play your dragon. Now you're actually pretty well off, right? Say you have 3, you put a land into play, now you'd have to have another Bloomvine Regent, but like you could pay 5 and play a big dragon on the next turn. And this one actually gained you some life. So yeah, I'm into this. This playable in a couple of decks, actually. Now where we rank it, you know what? I'm low-key going all the way up. I'm going to A tier, because the Cultivate side is actually a thing some decks are actually going to want, I'm pretty sure. Sagu Wildling, 5 for a 3/3 flying. When this creature enters, you gain 3 life. It has an omen for 1 green, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. No, thank you. No, thank you. Not interested in this card. I mean, paying a green to search for a land, like, that's fine. It's not great. We have other cards that have done it, and they don't get played that much. 5 mana for a 3/3, sure, you get to gain life. But, like, look at the difference between this and the last card, right? For the same 5 mana, though the other one does take a second green, you get a 4/5 creature, and that creature and every other dragon you play that enters, you get a gain 3 life, right? This is just super outclassed by the rare in the exact same set. And instead of just searching for 1 land, you can turn 3 or for 3 mana, or you go turn 1 Llanowar Elf into the Omen to let you go search, and like you're just getting more value. So like, yeah, this one, it's cute. It's not like the worst thing, but we're just not playing this. I'm actually gonna put this in F tier because I don't even think the Omen on it is that exciting to make you consider playing it. All right, this one's actually had a little bit of hype, but that's mostly been online. The prices online do not reflect this. But Meringue River Regent, 4 blue blue, so 6 mana for 6/7 flying. When this creature enters, return up to 2 target creatures, or 2 target non-land permanents your opponent's hand. So that's important. It's not creatures, it's permanents. And the instant Omen is 3 in a blue, draw 3 cards, discard a card. I think this is actually really playable. I mean, as let's assume you're playing some type of control deck, Jeskai control, Dimir control, whatever, right? Leaving mana up to counter something, kill something. You don't end up needing to. You spend 4 mana, you draw 3 cards, you discard a card. You've got plenty of stuff up. You get to return 2 things, not even creatures, just non-lands, which is big because those could be enchantments, those could be, maybe a planeswalker that was getting close to ultimate, whatever. And then you also have a 6/7, right? It's not like it's a small body, and 6 mana isn't unreal. I think this is actually playable. Now, will it make the cut in a lot of lists? I don't know, because those decks have a lot of top end things and finishers, even added in the set. But yeah, this is at least B tier. Very close to A though, honestly. I think just because the Omen is so playable, you just get the dragon as a bonus late in the game. Right? Pretty much every incarnation of Sarkhan is kind of a dragon or becomes a dragon. So he's like honorary dragon, so he's getting covered. But Sarkhan Dragon Ascendant, 1 in a red for a 2/2. When it enters, you can behold a dragon, so you either point to one and play, or you show one from your hand, and you get to make a treasure. And then every dragon you play after that puts a +1/+1 counter on Sarkhan, and it becomes a dragon with flying until end of turn. I've said it on other shows already. Like, this is the thing that dragon decks have wanted. It's a reasonable body early. It actually gets you a treasure that almost guarantees you can play a dragon on turn 4 now that we have, or turn 3, now that we have quality 4 cost dragons, right? It checks that box. It can go in a couple different builds of dragons where you're just doing mono red, whether you're doing Sultai, or not Sultai, Teamer, maybe Mardu, possible. But yeah, overall, just a good quality card. So yeah, I'm into this. I think Sarkhan Dragon Ascendant, totally worthwhile. Where do we put it? Solid A tier. Actually, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put Sarkhan at S because we're talking in regards to dragons. I think if we're just talking as a Magic card, it's probably like an A tier for sure. Arguably B plus tier. But when we're talking about in the scope of dragons, I think you're going to play this in every deck that's focused on dragons, either 3 or 4 copies. Shiko, Paragon of the Way, 2 red, white, blue, 4/5, flying, vigilance. When it enters, exile target non-land card with mana value 3 or less from the graveyard, copy it, then you can cast a copy without paying its mana cost. This is solid. I don't think this one like blows your doors off or anything, but it's just real good at doing what it does. If I'm playing Jeskai, this is a reasonable top in, because some of the Jeskai decks are going to want to just be playing cheap spells anyway, so you can cast multiple things in a turn. Also, if you are doing the flurry thing, or if you cast your second spell, whatever, this gets to be cast and gets to play that second spell for 5 mana, right? You don't even have to have extra mana up. You just get a free spell out of the graveyard. So yeah, this can fit a few different Jeskai builds. Not bad. I think we're definitely playing it. I'm also giving this a solid A tier. I think this card's just a good, well-designed dragon that you'll probably actually see some of. And the fact that it has vigilance is very good. Twin Maw Stormbrood, 6 for a 5/4 flying. When this creature enters, you gain 5 life, whereas some of the others were just gaining 3. This has an omen of Charring Bite. 1 in a red, Charring Bite deals 5 damage to target creature without flying. Now, we've had other cards that were basically this spell, right? 2 mana, deal 5 to a creature without flying. Like, that's a thing we happily... I think the card might have been Char, actually. But the other side's not terrible either. It's 6 mana for a 5/4, and you gain 5. That's not nothing late game, right? If you redraw this. So I could see a world where, 2 mana, deal 5 to get rid of Shieldred. speed demon, whatever. Reasonable. Don't hate it. I think this actually will find a home mostly because of the charring bite, and sometimes you will have a dragon. So with that, I think it's going to make quality C tier. I don't think it's quite as good as the ones in B tier. This is very much C plus B minus tier. So I'm gonna put it at the front of C tier. I don't know if that matters in our rankings, but yeah, there we go. I'm gonna put it in the front just to say, like, if we were gonna move something up in that tier, it's probably that one. Disruptive Stormbrood, 5 for 3/3 flying. When this creature enters, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment. It has a sorcery omen of petty revenge. 1 in a black, destroy target creature with power 3 or less. This is also pretty good. Very affordable on the omen side to just destroy a creature with power 3 or less. Now, admittedly, it's a sorcery speed. Black has a lot of good instant removal. So this doesn't make it an automatic. It just makes it reasonable, right? Because it's not going to be better than like Go for the Throat, things like that. But there's a lot of things with 3 power or less that we still play, right? This kills even if they have a good start, this kills most of the mouse targets, right? Early, all the rabbit stuff, soldiers, even a bunch of stuff in the Golgari decks. It gets rid of what's your name, Glissa, right? Like it does a lot of things. It's like a quality removal spell. So I'm not gonna rate this one too low. I think it actually has some reasonable play to it. So yeah, if I were to place it somewhere, oh man, C tier. This is going to be our second one in C tier. Maybe because honestly, because the removal spell is so good, and the other side, being able to destroy an artifact or an enchantment is actually reasonable, right? Like this can almost fit in your sideboard because it allows you to both have another removal spell if you need it, but another thing to deal with artifacts, enchantments, depending on the type of deck that you have for it. So I kind of dig it that there is a world where if you're playing something with black and green, this sort of checks multiple boxes in your sideboard. Scavenger Regent, 4 for a 4/4 flying ward. They have to discard a card to kill it. Exude Toxin, X black black. Sorcery, obviously. Each non-dragon creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. This card, very good. I don't think there's any other way around it. Like, this can be in decks that don't even care about dragons. You just might want to have the sweeper of pay 5, get rid of all the things that are 3 or less, right? 3 toughness or less. And then later on, you just have a 4/4 dragon to fight with. But it's also a removal spell that you can just keep redrawing, right? Because you shuffle omens back in. So it's just going to be super annoying that your opponent knows, all right, well, no, at every point, there's still 4 of these in the deck I have to deal with. And progressively, they're going to get bigger because your opponent's going to be playing more land throughout the game. So yeah, like this, super good. Honestly, minimum A tier. You know what? You know what? I don't think I'll say this. If I'm playing anything with dragons and black, I'm definitely playing it. So I'm moving it up to the auto include. It's just too good. All right, Storm Shriek Feral, 5 for a 3/3 flying haste. You pay 1 in a red. This creature gets +1/+0 to end of turn. Flush out. Red and 1, discard a card. If you do, draw 2 cards. I don't know how I feel about this, because I thought about this one pretty heavy just because of the Omen, right? Are there enough decks that want to just discard, draw 2, and are willing to do it at sorcery speed? I've played a few of those recently, and the answer could be yes. But the problem is, like, here's the thing. And this is where what I'm gonna use to rank the card. If your deck is willing to play a card that's discard a card, draw 2 at sorcery speed, then you're definitely going to play this because it's just better, right? You get to rebuy it, it goes back in the deck, and occasionally you're just going to have a dragon. I won't say a good dragon because it's only a 3/3 and you have to pay 2 to get 1 extra power, so that's not spectacular. But the fact that you can just have a creature instead of just drawing another card draw spell is actually kind of good. It's like, it's better than some of the other options, but it's not great compared to some of those other options. It's just a little better. Jeskai Shrinekeeper, 2, blue, red, white, 3/3, flying, haste. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you gain 1 life and draw a card. This is one I'm kind of torn on because it's 5 mana for a 3/3, which isn't great, but it has haste, which means in a lot of cases, you're going to get to attack for 3, you're going to get to gain a life, you're going to get a card, right? That seems good for 5 life or 5 mana, right? You get a life, a card, and a 3/3 for 5 mana. Sure. Now, are we going to want to be doing that a lot? Comparatively, we already talked about a Jeskai Dragon that's the same 5 mana for a 4/5 with Vigilance, and you get a free spell out of your graveyard. Now, we're also talking like rares to uncommons or whatever, maybe even the other one's a mythic, but uh, it's okay. It's okay. I don't know how many worlds we're going to play it, though. That's the issue. I think the cost is holding this back. What you get is nice, but I'm sticking it in D tier, and if people want to yell about it, that's just tough. That's where I'm putting it. Ooh, Karakik Guardian. 3 green, blue, red. So 6 mana for 6/5. Flying, Vigilance, Trample. This creature has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. I will say this. When I first read this in the previews, I was more excited about it. And I think it's because in my brain at the time, I assumed it was this turn. But it's just, if this card has been damaged at all, then it no longer has hexproof, right? And that's a very big difference. So between that and the existence of nowhere to run, just getting rid of hexproof, I don't think we're doing anything with this card, really. Not a lot. Like, it's not terrible. It's a 6/5, it's Vigilance, it's Flying, it's Trample. Like, it comes with a lot of keywords on it for your 6 mana. And 6/5 is a big body, and it can battle most of the other dragons. Nothing wrong with any of that. But I just don't know if that's what we're wanting to ramp into. Like, if I'm doing rampy things in Sultai Dragons, like, would I rather just have, like, Twin Flame Tyrant, so I have double damage? Or if I'm going to be ramping to other big dragons, playing Terror of the Peak, so my dragons deal damage. Or just another, I mean, usually if you can get to 6, you can probably get to 8 and just play your Remy or whatever, right? Man, this was so close for me. This was close to being a thing, but I'm going to stick it in the do not play. Oh, Karu Goalkeeper. 1 black, green, blue for a 3/3 flyer. When 1 or more cards leave your graveyard during your turn, create a treasure token. It has renew of 2 black, green, blue, so 1 more than its cost. Exile this card from your graveyard, put 2 +1/+1 counters and a flying crowner on 1 target creature, activated as a sorcery. Now, I will say this. If you haven't seen me and Dev's video where we review the overrated and underrated cards, those should be up today, later this afternoon when you're watching this. If you're watching it in the afternoon, the others are probably already up. I will tell you this, spoiler, I have this on our overrated cards, and you can go over there. I go way more in depth on it. But the biggest thing about this is I think we all agree that the words sound busted on this card because you get treasure that are untapped, which means you could use them and kind of do some crazy stuff. But usually when I ask everybody, what does the deck around it look like, though? Nobody knows. Until we see that, I can't put it in the top rankings. And honestly, without that, it's just kind of borderline playable for me. Now, it could go into graveyard, Insidious Root shenanigans, which, it's fine, makes sense, and it's probably useful there. But it's also a 3/3 for 4 compared to the other dragons. Not the most exciting thing. This is going to get me yelled at, but until further notice, we're putting it in C tier, because likely it only goes into 1 deck type as well, which I think is not an unfair assessment. It's probably like C plus, B minus. It probably needs to be up here closer to the front of the line, to be honest. But again, that's one I'm probably going to be wrong about, and I'm okay with it. But even if it's stellar in 1 deck, unless that deck is for real top tier, I don't think I'm going to feel bad about where we placed it. Armament Dragon. 3 white, green, black for 3/4 flying. When this creature enters, distribute 3 +1/+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. I thought about this one a pretty good bit too, because it's 6 mana for a 3/4, not great. If you put the counters on itself, then it's 6 mana for a 6/7, and that's pretty good. But it doesn't come with any other abilities. The number of other dragons we have that cost 5 and 6 that do really crazy stuff, pretty big list now. And do I necessarily want this over some of those other things? I don't know. Even if I'm playing a +1/+1 counters deck, like, do we want just a 3/4 flyer that does pump up, let's say, 2 or 3 other things by 1 or 2. I like probably not. It's just not efficient at doing what it does. And we already have so many other cards that just add counters every turn or get bigger when other things get bigger, whatever. So yeah, I'm not feeling it. I think this is going to go in the do not play category, which is sad because, pumping things with extra counters is usually pretty fun. And just because we're here, let's talk about it. Call the Spirit Dragons, right? We've already talked about all the other dragons in the set. So what about Call the Spirit Dragons? It's Wooburg, so white, blue, black, green, red. For dragon, it's an enchantment. Dragons you control have indestructible. At the beginning of your upkeep, for each color, put a +1/+1 counter on a dragon you control of that color. If you put +1/+1 counters on 5 dragons this way, you win the game. This is really interesting because I don't know if you even need to try to go for the auto win mechanic, right? Is it good enough to just have, let's say you have ways to get multiple colors of mana, but you're only really playing 3 or 4 colors of dragons, or that's all you have out. Like, getting 4 counters that you can put any way you want is pretty cool. Well, I guess not really. You have to put a counter on a dragon of each color, but some count as 2 colors, so you could make, you know, let's say you're any your green and blue dragon, right? And it can get +2/+2. So very cool. Makes it hard to kill your dragons. I think this is more of a commander card, though. Could we finagle a way to win with it in standard? I think so. But I think the way standard plays right now, the amount of setup you have to do would be very difficult. Mostly because you're talking about having to get multiple ramp things of different colors to facilitate getting all your dragons, and then the dragons would have to live, and you'd also have to play Call the Spirit Dragons to be able to win with it, right? That's a lot of work. Whereas I think in something like Commander, where you can play lots of big, fast mana ramp and artifacts and, you know, trick 2 or 3 creatures into play at a time, like there's some fun ways you could get to actually trigger this and have it go off. I just don't think those things exist in Standard. So because of that, I don't think I can give Call the Spirit Dragons a high rating. I'm not going to say do not play, but I'm going to put it, for now, in C tier. Again, it's one I'd love to be wrong about, but as it stands, I think it's a solid C tier card for me for the dragons. And most dragon decks are probably not even going to consider playing it because you'll likely kill your opponent long before you would win with having multicolor, 5 different color dragons. I think if the card said you could put 5 tokens on dragons, I don't think it would be that big a deal. But it specifically says if you put counters on 5 dragons, and I think that's what makes it difficult to win with. Oh, and I need to back up for a second here. I noticed something in editing, so we're putting this in post, but 2 of the dragons, for whatever reason, something happened to the video there, so something happened to the video, so I want to cover these just to explain why they are where they are on the ranking here. So I believe on the chart, I have this one, the Sonic Shrieker is on the C tier. This is a 5 mana Mardu dragon. It's a 4/4 flyer. When it enters, it deals 2 damage to any target, and you gain 2 life. And if a player is dealt damage this way, they discard a card. My issue here with this dragon is that, not that I dislike it, and I do think there are some decks where you're doing a life gain thing, a life drain thing. Like, there's some real uses with this. But my problem is that at 4 and 5 mana, there are a lot of really good things you can do in Mardu right now. And I don't know if this outright fits any strategy that those colors want to be doing. And I don't know if it's enough that anything, say white, black, wants to be splashing red just for the dragon if you're doing a life gain, life drain kind of scenario. So while I think it's actually fine, I don't know if we're going to want to play this over the myriad of other things that we have available. So for that reason, I put it in C tier. Will it show up every once in a while? Yeah, probably. It's not terrible, but not quite good enough to make the cut over some of the other cards that we're going to be seeing. And Whirlwing Stormbrood was the other one that ended up missing, I think, in that audio video problem there. But this is a 5 mana 4/3. It has a omen that for 3 mana lets you put 3 counters on a three +1/+1 counters, I should say, on a target creature you control. The card itself has flash flying. You may cast sorcery spells and dragon spells as though they had flash. My problem here is I couldn't figure out a scenario where I want to, as a sorcery for 3 mana, put 3 +1/+1 counters on something. In that deck, also want a flash flying 4/3 dragon that lets my sorceries and dragons be flash, right? I just don't know what that deck, like maybe something with a lot of dragons with omens that are sorcery speed now get upgraded, but you're also getting just a 4/3 dragon, which is pretty small. When you've seen already, even in just this list, how many dragons are 4, 5, 6 that we're gonna be playing. So like I'm not sold on this guy. It's tough. This is why I put it in D tier. I don't think it's trash because the +3 counter omen thing is totally reasonable, but I don't know if it's better than even a lot of other stuff we would be doing. And occasionally you get a dragon, which is nice. But yeah, I don't even think my +1/+1 counters decks want this type of dragon, honestly. So yeah, it ends up in the do not play category because I don't think you're actually going to want that over a bunch of other things. But yeah, I think that's everything. I think those all the dragons. Would we want to move anything up or down? I probably, in hindsight, I probably do have uh, the dragon back thing like a little bit high. I could put this on B tier, and that would probably be reasonable. I'm not upset with any of the dragons I have on that tier. Actually, I think those are good. I also think the ones we have in S tier are all very solid cards that we're going to see play. I believe. Let me say this: it's possible Narev is probably too high. Narev could be an A tier because I don't think Narev goes in as many decks as the other three. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the black one even goes in some non-dragon stuff. I think this the Magmatic Hellkite also probably goes in some non-dragon things. It could just be in a Gruul aggro, big red, whatever. A lot of decks would want to have a 4/5 for 4 that slows your opponent down. And Sarkhan pretty much goes in every dragon deck that's playing red. So I will be willing. I'm going to move this down. I'm going to put it next to Ureni. I think that's actually a fair call there. Um, Other than that, yeah, I think I'm good with the rest of this. I'd be curious, so, like, do your opinions differ? Did you want some dragons higher or lower? Everybody's got different opinions, I'm sure. But I'm excited to play with a lot of these. So you're going to see a bunch of these. Pretty much everything in, like, B tier plus is going to be in some decks on the channel. And maybe even, actually looking at it, some of the C tier dragons will probably be there as well. Again, the Keru, Gold, whatever. I want it to be better, but we'll just have to wait and see. But overall, yeah, this was good. Let me know. Do y'all like this type of thing for a set? Should we be doing it more often? Do you like rankings? Do you hate them? I have no idea. But either way, watch our review where we talk about the stuff we reviewed from Aether Drift and figure out if we were actually right or not. Because we actually review ourselves, and a lot of people don't do that. So check that out. But that's all of you for now. We'll see you next time.